the three exemptions, they have a lot of pitfalls and misconceptions. One of them, I think, which hopefully Anthony dispelled, is that, salary does not mean exempt. There can be non-exempt salaried employees. You got to meet the duties test in addition to paying them a salary. And as Anthony, I think, mentioned, the title or job description is not determinative. So frequently we'll hear, well, this person has this title, or, here's the job description, and the employer assumes that ends the inquiry. Really, you have to go beyond that and look at what are the actual duties, how much time is spent, and do they meet the actual criteria. Now, the job description is really important for an employer in terms of setting the groundwork to be able to establish what the employer's expectations are, but it's not enough simply to have a job description. You have to really look at what the position demands. And then, as we've mentioned, the primarily engaged California looks at it pretty strictly on terms of quantifiable. More than half of the employee's working time has to be engaged in exempt duties. Minimum wage creep is, I think, a really important thing that a lot of employers need to be aware of. The minimum wage, the California state minimum wage, has risen pretty dramatically in the last couple of years. So, if your exempt employee salaries has not been keeping pace with that, it could be very easy to have been overtaken on someone who was exempt a couple of years ago may not be exempt anymore simply because of the salary component. And then, Anthony, this is something we hear frequently is, well, what if I have an exempt employee, but they only work 20 hours, so I pay them, I only pay them half of the salary basis. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So again, it's the exemption you're not looking at the quantity or quality of work from the employee. So you can't do this back into it like, I expect you to work so many hours, so I'm going to pay you this salary. You need to stay away from that. And I did see a question come up in that regard too, about general managers coded exempt, but does the law require they clock in and out? They are required to work a minimum of 45 hours per week. Now with the exempt employees, you can set parameters. I generally don't like employers to be tracking the exempt employees' time, because that's the whole idea with an exempt employee. They're not being paid on how much time they work for you. They're being paid on the job they're performing for you in doing those duties. So it's not a quantity of time they're giving you that you're paying them. So it makes me nervous when you start recording their time. Now, if you have to do it for other reasons, there could be an argument that you could do it if you have to track what time they're spending to allocate those resources to a particular client or something like that. I could see that case being made, but you need to be careful with doing that. Any thoughts on that too, Mike?
Yeah, I'd be nervous about recording the time that they clock in or making them clock in and out. The way to handle if they're not working, you can set expectations in terms of their work schedule and how much they should work. The way to handle that is not by reducing their pay if they don't meet that, or it's through a discipline process. But I'd stay away from recording the time.